Okay, guys, welcome back to another episode of Inspire You. Joining me on today's episode is the fantastic Derec Clark, also known on TikTok as Mr. Clarkafeller. Derek, how are you today?
I'm doing all right, man. How you doing?
I'm doing
Thank
good.
you for having me.
Oh,
Thank you for having me.
this
Appreciate it.
is this is phenomenal. I love the fact that you agreed to be a guest on here. I've been a big fan of your content for a while, so thank you very much.
Likewise. Likewise.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Yeah, man.
So, for those who don't know, Derek has me and Derek have known each other on TikTok. I can't actually remember since when. I think we started following each other probably a little bit later than some of the others. It may have been around sort of March time. I came into contact with the new kids on the top, and
Oh, yes.
and your guys kind of group and started following people and stuff. And we're gonna delve into your content a little bit actually on today's episode because you are genuinely one of the funniest individuals that I've come across, and I love your content. But we'll get into that in a little bit.
Appreciate that, man. Thank you.
No, that's absolutely fine. So like I said, this is Derec Clark. For those of you who aren't following him on TikTok, please go and give him a follow. He's amassed almost 70,000 followers. It's on 69 at the moment, which will
Just a little under.
slipping as an innuendo there. But so Derek, one of the things I wanted to sort of just to open, I guess, tell me a little bit about how you got onto TikTok. Like, what was it that inspired you to start making content in the first place?
Yeah, so I've always kind of done like these kind of videos. I had post them on like Instagram or Facebook. Whether it's like lip syncing or just doing weird, funny skits, something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when like the pandemic hit, I was kind of late to the party a little bit. Not that late, but like, I had a few of my friends who were like, "You got to hop on a TikTok, man. Like, you'd be perfect for it." And I'm like, I was like everybody else, and I had the same thought that, oh, this is for kids. It's just a bunch of like, it's the Renegade and Charlie D'Amelio's and whatever, like those people. And I was thinking, nah, I don't think so. And then after a few weeks of just being held up in the house, I was like, all right, fine. And the fun fact is, I used to be on Musical.ly, which I don't know if anybody's listening, if they've heard of it. I don't know if you've heard of it.
I have, yeah.
So that was like TikTok bought Musical.ly or something, but basically I was grandfathered in. So I technically have had an account since like 2015.
Okay.
No big deal. I own TikTok. So yeah, I was already on. I already had like a login or whatever. So I was like, all right, whatever. And basically I was using TikTok as almost as an app to make content and put it on Facebook and Instagram for my friends.
Okay.
And after a few months, the algorithm started changing a little bit. I started seeing more videos and getting caught on like the club positivity and all, like JT and all them. Mm-hmm. And I started making more and more connections, like with our friend Jimmy, like Mariah, and like these people who, because at first I was just like, I posted and go, I mean, I wouldn't even check notifications or anything. So it was really just, oh, I have this, I'm using it as a tool to make videos, basically.
Yeah.
But then after a few months, I started, seeing same comments from same people, and I'm starting to see their videos and then making the connections, and now it's all one big happy family. And now the funny thing is I barely post my videos on Facebook and Instagram.
Right. Now it's all TikTok. But so what was some of your earlier content then? Because again, we'll touch on some of the content that in particular stands out for me in a little bit. But when you first started, what was it that you were kind of inspired by? Was it always comedy or?
Yeah. I didn't do any. I said I was never going to do any dances on TikTok. That lasted long. It was basically what I'm doing now. I've just kind of added to that, like what I post on. I've peeled back some more layers, you know what I'm saying? But I was doing like Kevin Hart's skits, and like I did a scene from Ace Ventura, That was one of my early
Okay.
favorites. But it was like I would see like the trending sounds and stuff and try and put my own spin on it. Same thing I do now, but I'm
Yeah.
just a little more dedicated to the craft, I guess.
Because
Now.
you do a little bit of everything now. I mean, mainly your
Yeah.
page is known for whenever I speak to anyone, you know, within our sort of circle, or you know, people who know you, everyone knows you for comedy. That's what you are known for, and you're very charismatic, and you're very funny, and again, we'll go into some of the content, but you own, like, you put a lot of dedication and you own the characters that you play, and there's a lot that goes into your content creation.
Right.
And I know people really appreciate, you know, how much effort you put in. And I know that you're one of the subjects that you're quite big on, aside from comedy, is mental health. And
Right.
as you know, obviously, you know, because we've kind of connected in that way before, like mental health is something that I think all of us, it's a very relatable topic.
Right.
A lot of people try and touch upon it in their own way when it comes to TikTok and content creation. When it comes to mental health content in general, was that based on your own real life experiences?
Yeah. It's such a funny thing because like I've never I've had like some posts sporadically or
Mhm.
on like Facebook or Instagram that touches on mental health, but like
Yeah.
it's there's something weird that's it's for some reason it's so much easier to open up to strangers than people you know first.
Absolutely.
Like um because I have no problem with posting stuff about mental health on TikTok, but I don't usually post that stuff to like my friends and family, which is
Yeah.
probably the people who need to see it the most, but that's just how it works. But
Yeah.
yeah, I guess the more and more being on TikTok, you start noticing things and like realizing that other people feel the same way you do. And maybe that's part of why I never did, because I felt like nobody understood me. But on TikTok, the more and more you scroll and the more and more you post about mental health, more people will comment on it and realize you're like, oh wow, yeah, so many other people are dealing with the same thing I am. So like once I saw that, I was like, oh, this is a safe space, this is um and as I gained more of a following, I'm like, oh, I'm not that I felt obligated to do it. I do it because I want to, but I'm like, one of my posts can help somebody else. And like the more I did that, I'm like,
Yeah.
this is beneficial. I mean, even if it just helps one person. And one of the things that it wasn't even a mental health post, but one of the things that hit me somewhat early on was it was just my regular comedy post, but somebody, one of my earlier friends DM'd me and she was like, I'm just going through a really hard time and just your video made me laugh and made me forget about what I was going through for just however long. And I'm like, oh wow, like
It's a great feeling, isn't it? It's a
it
great
is, and it's because it's just I'm just being a dumbass and just posting whatever, like whatever random lip sync video, and I don't just hit post and go away. But then like you see that, oh, you kind of you can make a difference on people and not even realizing it. So like seeing that plus my own mental health, I'm like, I could really help some people or just open up some more eyes that like when I saw, you know what I mean? Like me seeing posts about mental health and
Yeah.
and it's something, especially men's mental health. I think a lot of men keep it inside more so than women. I think that's pretty safe to say. So just feeling like, oh, if he
Yeah.
can do it, I can do that too, like, or I can be a little more open about it.
Do,
And I
do,
don't always give like full details about everything, but
yeah.
just knowing that, just saying that you don't have to give like, oh yeah, this is what exactly everything that's going on in my life, but just knowing that you're going through a hard time, it's okay.
Do you find that creating those kind of videos also is like a form of release for you? Like it helps you with your own healing when you're going through like a mental health struggle.
Yeah. I mean, some can be very therapeutic. One in particular was still probably the hardest one I've ever done was the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air when
I remember that one, yeah.
with Will's father. Yeah,
Yeah.
because my situation is very similar. So that's like one I've had, bookmark to do for a long time, and that was probably not probably, it was by far the most requested Fresh Prince scene I've gotten, which is funny because
Yeah.
all of them are comedy that I've done,
Yeah.
but everybody wanted me to do that one, and I had it saved, and I'm like, I gotta wait for the right time. Like, it's got to be the right time to do it, and yeah, it got emotional, but it felt good, to do that and like let your story be told in your own way, like through
Yeah.
art,
Yeah, definitely. And I know you're big on, obviously we've touched upon it already, or you've mentioned it, dance routines. And you mentioned that wasn't something in particular that when you first started, you ever thought you'd go into it. And I know that you've collaborated with a lot of sort of the really great creators, who really put a lot of craft, and not that you don't, you put a lot of effort into your dance routines as well. And I've seen them and I've tried to mimic them, and duet you, but it's the energy that you put into that is incredible. And I know that you've worked with people like Chelsea and Amy and loads of other people, and it's incredible seeing you bringing those dances to life. Is that something, are you naturally that kind of an individual, like if you go to a wedding or a party, like are you the first one up on the dance floor, doing all those moves? Or
I'm not the first one, because I have a rule where this is gonna sound ridiculous. It's not a rule, but it's just something that I've done. Most people, because I don't drink alcohol at all. So most people, they got to get like the liquid courage to do something like that. Me, I just got to get warmed up, because I'm naturally an introvert, and but I usually do shine at weddings. So I kind of just start vibing and grooving in my chair a little bit and start feeling it, and then I just slowly make my way to finally to the dance floor. Yeah, but yeah, I usually steal the show at weddings. I had like one of the professional photographers. She literally stopped me and she was like, "Every wedding needs a you." And I'm like, "Facts." Now watch this.
now watch why I pop a lock in the corner of there. Like, yeah, no,
yeah,
because you are, and this is something I kind of ask everyone, I guess, because a lot of people always get this kind of impression that as content creators, we are one way on TikTok and another way in real life. I've done quite a few meetups personally now, with people this side of the pond. And next summer I'm planning on coming and visiting, obviously, the States, and seeing some people there. And one of the things that I have noticed is the majority of people who are on this app, the majority of the content creators, they are exactly how they present themselves. But there's still this kind of, I do find that there's still this kind of fear that when you meet someone in real life from the app, you're kind of a little bit hesitant, because it's like, well, are they putting on a show? Are they are they being their true selves? Are they being authentic? And I know that for you, you're not scared to, showcase your vulnerability, and that's, again, one of the reasons I really respect you as a creator, because, especially with the mental health stuff, like we've said, for a lot of men, we are taught to suppress those emotions, and that when you're a man, when you're not okay, showcasing that is also not okay, or so we're led to believe. And I think that, any person who can generally be authentic in that way, and be like a role model for other young men, to be like, no, do you know what? It's okay to cry as a man. It's okay to showcase your emotions, and to display, vulnerability. I think that is a great use of the platform in that sense.
Yeah, for sure. Excuse me. Yeah, that's probably one of my like biggest points I like to hammer home, is just, especially like men's health. Also, to even go further on that, Black men's health is, like, with it's just typically with Black men, I know most men in general feel like, oh, we have to put on a show, but even more so with Black men, at least in in America, like it's never been a thing up until probably recently, where you hear about
Yeah.
like mental health, and
Sure.
because before it's always just like what a jerk, like what a jerk or something like that, and like someone, a good example. Obviously, mental health is no excuse to be a jerk, but like someone like a Kanye West, like clearly the man has struggled with mental health for a long time,
Mhm.
but for so long people would just shove it aside as, no, he's just a jerk, like this. And that's can be true, but
They don't take into consideration the personal struggles.
exactly, and it's maybe like the hip hop culture or something like that, but I look at that and I'm like, I want more people, more men, black men as well, just to feel like it, it is okay to be okay. And you're seeing it more and more each day, which is great. I'm glad so many more people are becoming more aware that it's a struggle. And I mean, it sucks that maybe the pandemic had a lot to do with getting that even more to the forefront. But
Do you find that now that the pandemic, or do you think, sorry, should I ask, now that the pandemic has kind of come to a close, do you think the nature of content creation is now going to change?
Maybe. I mean, I haven't really thought about. I mean, I don't. Not for me, but I'm not. I don't know. That's a good question.
Because one of the
How do you
things that,
feel?
I mean, one of the things that's come up, with all my guests so far is that
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people, the majority of us, came onto the app during the pandemic, or shortly before it. So it was kind of a reactionary response to us being locked indoors.
Right.
And I find that because the majority of us obviously, joined because of the pandemic, a lot of people who are also viewing our content probably came onto TikTok as a result of being locked in their house. And now with obviously the world opening up again in terms of travel and people being able to, explore the world again and actually get outdoors, without restrictions, I kind of think that, the app is going to kind of desaturate a little bit. There may not be as much traffic or people may not use it as much because I think we're going to start getting back out into the real world to see the things and experience the things that we've missed out on for so long. When we've been instead, scrolling our phones, trying to create content to keep each other sane, I guess, almost.
Right.
That's my personal opinion, anyway.
Yeah. No. I mean, I think you're starting to see it already. You're seeing some creators who had like over 100,000 followers or whatever,
Sure.
and you either go to their page and it's completely gone, or they haven't posted in months, and you're just starting to see as they get more and more busy. Me personally, I never really had a life before, so not much is changing for me. Like, I mean, I was out of work for a few months, so my content was kind of rapid fire.
Like
Yeah. I mean, like, luckily now I just kind of make a bunch and bank it and, save it in the drafts and just throw it out there when, if you see fit. But I'm planning on making content.
How much effort do you put into, like, for example,
Too much.
for example, like your dance routines. Let's take your dance routines, for example. How much work goes into that to create one of those dance routines? Like, what are we talking? Are we talking a few minutes? Are we talking a few hours?
Lately, not much, but there's been some it's been like an hour.
Okay.
It could, because I mean, as you can probably tell with my videos, I'm like very meticulous. I'm a perfectionist, and like with lip syncs, I'm like, if it's even like 0.1 second off, I'm like, no, I gotta redo it.
But that's the thing with duets as well. Like, we know the annoying thing with trying to duet.
The lag.
Yeah, the lag. It's so frustrating at times.
But it's the same with dancing, with like the dance. I'm like, if I'm looking at it, I'm like, I feel like I can do a little bit. It can be a little more crisp. And I'm not a dancer. I can dance, but I'm not a dancer. My sister is a dancer. I'm not a dancer. I just have rhythm and I can dance. But I know, watching, music videos, and like I love the art of dance. So I know if it's not up to what I can do. So sometimes it'll take me a little while. And I'm not the best with choreography. Surprise to some, I don't know if that's a surprise to some people.
You could have fooled me.
I'm much better like freestyling and just kind of going with it. But I mean, I can catch up to it a little bit. But sometimes I'm just like, wait, what? Hold on.
And with the comedy stuff in particular, because I know, and we'll touch on this now. So first of all, a couple of things I want to touch on. Couple of bits of your content that because everyone has these kind of things that they're known for, I guess. Various creators now are known for, they kind of get pigeonholed after a while for playing certain roles or getting into certain characters, etc. And without naming names, we can probably both think of a couple anyway. People who are relatively well known for playing certain characters, but
could they be stuck playing anybody else?
Yeah. But some of the ones that you're known for, and one that's a particular favorite of mine is Fez from the 70s Show.
Yeah.
So how did that come about? How did that start?
So it's funny that you say that, because the creator that I was hinting at, Mr. Jimmy Musial, or Musical, depending on who's saying it.
Who you asking?
He has his little signature in some of his videos where he does a sassy exit where he flips his phone, and leaves the room. And he did this challenge. I think Mariah did one. I'm not sure if you did.
I did, yeah.
And I've just had this Fez sound saved for months, and I was just going through my sounds. I'm like, what could I do? What can I do that would be funny? And I came upon one, and I was like, oh, that'd be great. So I did it, and so many comments are like, you got to do more. You do such a good Fez. You got to do more. You got to do more. I'm like, oh, I didn't expect that. All right, so let me look up some Fez sounds, and I found a bunch, saved a bunch, and then I recorded a few. And the next couple I put out, people were like, you have to do more. You have to do more. You do such a good Fez. I'm like, I did not see this coming, but okay. That was I had never planned on doing multiple like that. I didn't think I'd be known for Fez. I've always like imitated him like in real life.
Yeah.
Because I just he's hilarious, and I have an obsession with candy, and he has an obsession with candy, so it's just a natural fit. I would always joke, I'm like, oh, the Piggly Wiggly, oh, they have candy. And I would always joke about that, like me and my friends. But now I'm like, okay, I guess I have to do it on screen. But yeah, that's one of them. That's one of them that I'm known for. That probably David Rose, the Schitt's Creek.
Nick,
that's my favorite one. Honestly, that's my favorite.
New Girl as well. You're quite known for. I've seen you do quite a few of those.
Which one?
Nick from New Girl.
Oh, I've done Nick, and I've done Winston. I did Winston a lot like last year.
Yeah.
And then I've kind of transferred to Nick for somehow. I've done Schmidt. I've done all of them actually. Schmidt's my favorite one, I think, to do, just because he's so like
incredible. Schmidt's just an incredible character in general. I mean, who doesn't love Schmidt?
Yeah, all three of them.
And the other thing that I love about your content is the way that you and again, I've had conversations with other creators about you because of just how incredible you are with this. You have this tendency of always surprising us in videos, and what I mean by that is you'll start doing a video. I'll start watching one of your videos and I'll be like, I don't know what's coming, but something's going to happen in a minute that is just going to make me belly laugh off my sofa or off my bed. And it's like, there was one that you did that I was talking to Suzanne about it. And it was, I can't remember what the sound was, but it was a conversation between a guy and a girl and whatever. And you did a split, you did a transition screen between the two characters. And when it pans to the woman, you're dressed in a towel and no shirt, just a towel around your chest, and it's like I was howling. I would laugh because I didn't see it coming. It was just so deadpan. It was so deadpan. But you've got this. You're very you have this great way of when it comes to your comedy being very good with your expressions. And I know you said that you're a
Yeah.
perfectionist, so I guess my question to you is, when you're watching your content back, are you like me, when you're doing the comedy stuff, you kind of watch it back and you go, the facial expressions, that could be better. You know, I'm trying to get, I'm trying to get more laughs based on like the eye rolls, or all that kind of stuff. Is that something that you hone in on?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, especially with someone like David, because he's so expressive, you know. A lot of times it's not the words that he's saying, it's how he says it. And obviously I'm not saying, but lip syncing it. I've never been good at like impressions, like really like vocal impressions, like,
Yeah.
but I've always been able to like mimic people, like their mannerisms and stuff. People used to have me do that at one of my old jobs. They were like, oh, you got to do so and so, and like the voice isn't like 100% there, but like the cadence, the tone, and like just the movements was spot on. So like I've always been able to do that pretty well. So that's why I do so well with people like David, obviously. Fez doesn't have like a ton of like expressives. It's more so just the list that he does. But like Ross from Friends, like Ross is my favorite one to do on Friends. He's not my favorite character, but he's my favorite one to like do videos of on Friends, because
he's got some of the best lines, hasn't he? Really?
Yeah, and like just the facial expressions he makes and the movements sometimes, like there's very subtle, but like you notice it. If you're like really looking, you notice it. So that's like why I love Ruin Ross. And yeah, it's just, that's just something that I focus more on, because anybody can just lip sync at a video, but I try to make it. I'm obviously not going to look like Ross. For people who are listening, I am an African American male. I do not look like David Schwimmer in any way, or David Rose, Mr. Dan Levy. I don't look like any of these people, but you kind of get lost because the facial expressions and the hand movements, are so close.
Yeah.
If I do say so myself, that it almost doesn't even matter. So I pay very close attention to stuff like that.
Absolutely. The fact that you pay such close attention, like I said, it shows in your content. It absolutely shows in your content. When you watch it, you can tell like he's got this down to an art form. And like I said, it's one of the reasons obviously you've got as many followers as you have, and you've gained as much traction.
69.
69. 69. That's what she said, ladies and gentlemen. That's what she. So one of the other things I wanted to talk to you a little bit about, because you've got quite a close. I mean, you've got a good working relationship with pretty much everyone. You're just a very friendly, open-hearted individual, and I struggle to, and I've tried to find someone who has a bad word to say about you. I'm kidding, about it.
You're asking the wrong people.
But I know that one of the people that you have a very close, friendship with is your TikTok BFF, Suzanne. And
yes, correction, just BFF, not just TikTok. She's my TikTok wife.
Yeah,
she's my TikTok wife, but in my real life BFF. Yes.
Because you guys have met up quite a few times. I've seen some meetups and photos and stuff from you guys actually meeting up. And
yep, we've met a couple times. It's been far too long since the last one, but yeah.
And
we have met a couple times.
How did that friendship come about? Was that as a result of just randomly meeting through the app, or? It
was as a result of me flirting and hitting on her in her comments and in her lives. And this is actually so if any of my followers are listening, there was a time I actually did go live.
There was a time.
A little over a year ago. Once upon a time, a little over a year ago, I would go live probably like once a week, or once every other week or something like that. But so yeah, we would go each other's lives, and then we just kind of started talking. We would duet each other here and there, and we just started talking off of TikTok, and then now it's been geez, I don't even know. Like, what month are we in? December? It's probably been like
December. No, December.
14.
December. Yeah, when December. This
Yeah.
goes on December. This goes like yeah.
Yeah. It's a Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas, everyone.
Merry Christmas. Yeah.
Happy Valentine's Day. We'll just cover them all.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's probably been like 15 months now that I think we've talked every single day. Like we have not missed, I don't think we missed a day. So like she is truly my best friend. We talk all the time. We fight a lot. But she's my favorite duet partner. We haven't been doing as many lately, but the ones that we have put out, and that is a hint to Suzanne, if you're listening. That is a hint.
You will be.
Not if, because I know you are. That is a hint. Yeah, we haven't done any duets lately.
There we are, Suzanne. Jump on it.
But yeah, she is my best friend. It's funny how I feel like if you would look at us, you're like that. That's not. Why would they be best friends? How would that happen?
I mean, it's interesting how people do meet through the app and just instantly form like a connection or a friendship so quickly.
Yeah.
I mean, it's weird because my journey obviously has led me to a lot of people in the States, even though I'm this side of the water. And, that connection started.
But you're from England?
Yeah.
Damn, I had no idea, bro. You hide it very well.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I've got the accent down to a T.
Yeah, that was just a good accent. I had no idea.
Yeah, and that connection started with me with a couple of people, and it kind of spiraled into then obviously meeting people through lives and stuff like that. And I feel very blessed and very fortunate to have been connected with as many people as I have, through the app and the journey. And people talk about this all the time. There's some people I've interviewed. Like, I hate that word, but it's like this journey that we're all on.
The journey,
because it is a journey. But let's face it, and a lot of people I think who maybe watch our content, and I've had this with my mental health videos. They say you give great advice, and I'm like, yeah, but I can't take it myself.
Yeah, I had a video about that.
I give great advice, but you ask me to take it. And I'm like, go watch back your own videos. Like,
yep, I am 100% the same, bro. Like, I'm very good at giving the advice, but taking it, mind your business.
Yeah. and I think a lot of people, out there who follow us maybe think, oh, these people have kind of got it down, or that they live, kind of really good lives, or whatever. No, we don't. We're all just trying to figure our lives out at the same time. We are. This is basically for us a social experiment. This is basically like Big Brother on TikTok. We are basically putting ourselves out there and ridiculing ourselves. Some of us more than others. In kind of like a parody kind of way. For other people's amusement. But we're doing it also as a way of testing our comfort zone and testing our limitations. Because I don't know about you before TikTok, but for me, before I joined the app, I was a very different individual before I joined the app. Very, very different. My journey through the app is astronomical in terms of growth. How much I've grown in less than a year of being on the app as a person. I do not recognize the version of me from a year ago. And go back 10 years, even more, like I've learned more in 10 months than in 10 years, in my real life. I'm not sure about yourself.
I think I'm probably the opposite. I think I've gotten worse. I've regressed. I used to be a great person. Now I'm just scum of the earth. I don't know. I blame people like you and Jimmy. And no, I'm just kidding. No, I've noticed a lot of growth myself. Suzanne, actually, we talked about this fairly recently. She's like I've gone back and watched some of your videos, and like you just in your content you've grown like so much. And it's funny that you mentioned the like wanting people to know that like we are normal. Like that is part of the reason why I do
stuff. It's normal. Like, let's be honest. Yeah.
you know, that is part of the reason why I do some of like the mental health videos, is because I mean, I'm not gonna like act like I am high and mighty, like, but I mean, we have a following, you know what I mean? Like 69,000 people is still a lot when you look at it. And
He doesn't mean 69,000, by the way, guys. He means 69 followers. That's what he's got.
just 69 people following. This is still a lot. But like, I think
What
once you
about
get
Friday
to a certain
night,
point,
that's a wild Friday night.
yeah. Can't wait for tomorrow. No, but it's a lot of people. It's a lot, and you still, even like on a smaller scale, you still have like people who look at you in a certain way. Like, you're my favorite. Like, people have told me I'm their favorite creator, and like that's very flattering. It's amazing. But when you look at people like that, sometimes they think of you in a certain way where it's like you're not untouchable, but like you're at a higher level. I'm like, I can guarantee you,
Yeah.
I am not that where you might think I am. I am absolutely not. So that's why I like to put out posts like that shows like I am just like you, if not worse. So I just got lucky and had 69,000 people follow me. But I mean, you see it with bigger creators too. It's like they aren't celebrities, man. They're regular people who just hit the jackpot on some of them. Some of them hit the jackpot on some of their videos and got a lot of followers. And it's like, that doesn't make them any different than you. And I'm the same way. Like, I know it's weird to make this comparison because, again, I am not there, but like on a smaller scale, like I'm starting to understand some like celebrities' behaviors with like being in the public eye. And so I've come to the realization lately that like a lot of people are still on TikTok and like do lives or whatever for attention, and that's perfectly fine. It's like you want the attention, and there's nothing wrong with that. Absolutely not. Everybody wants attention. I have come like I do it for the recognition. Like I don't want people to necessarily pay attention to me, but I want them to recognize, you know, my talents and the amount of work that I'm putting into it. And when I started thinking about that, I'm like, that's like how like some musicians and actors must feel. Like they don't want to go to the award shows. They just want the award. Like they want the recognition that they are the best artist, but they don't want to go and rock the red carpet and do all the interviews and stuff. And that's like on a smaller scale. That's how I've been feeling a lot. Whereas like I don't do lives, as we kind of touched on earlier. Like I don't like to do lives. I don't even really like to go into other people's lives. Even those, just I'm like, it's too much.
Yeah.
So like a lot of times I just kind of stay in my own lane, and have tunnel vision sometimes where I don't even like look at other people's videos really. It's just if I happen to be on the FYP and I just click it, and I'm just so focused on my own stuff, my own art, that sometimes I forget about other people. And because I just want to create art sometimes. I don't want to necessarily have to deal with like commenting back on people on other people or liking comments or whatever, which I do make the effort to do that eventually, you know, after a few days maybe, but because I do feel like it is important, you know, to interact. But sometimes I'm just like, no, I just want to make these videos and hopefully everybody likes it and they tell me that they like it, but I don't want to have to tell them that I'm happy that they like it. But but yeah, like I think a lot of people have started to realize that once they get a following on the app is like people look at you different, even if it's 50,000 followers. But like if you're on there and you have like 500 followers, not 1,000, just 500, and somebody with 50,000 followers like comments on your video, you're like, oh my god, I made it. And because I remember I was like that. I'm like, oh shit, this person, what, a blue check mark liked my video, oh my gosh. And I remember me and Son talked about this a little while ago. She was like, do you get excited or something like when certain people like comment on your videos? I'm like, not really, because I mean, it used to be a big deal to me, but it's not anymore. If I see like a blue check mark, like I'm like, it obviously catches my eye because it's fucking blue and everything else. Yeah, I mean, there's a reason, but I'm like, oh, that's cool. Like, I don't. If somebody with the fire follows me, like, it depends on who it is. If it's like The Rock, then I'll probably like shit my
Then
pants.
you have a meltdown. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll fucking like yell to the world, to the universe that it's The Rock. But like, if it's somebody who was like me and just like a regular creator, and they gained a lot of followers and they get a blue check mark, I'm like, they're just like me, you know. It's not Dwayne Johnson. Like, honestly, I think my biggest freak out moment was I'm wide receiver, Hall of Fame wide receiver for the Buffalo Bills in the NFL. Andre Reed follows me, and I'm like,
Oh.
what the why? And he likes my videos, and I'm just like, this is wild. That's when I'm like, this is wild. Like, why? He follows like 300 people, and I'm one of them, and I'm like, this is weird. Like, I don't like, no disrespect to Scott D. Henry, I love Scooter, but like, if he likes my video, I'm like, oh cool, Scott, what's up? But if I see Andre Reed, I'm like, yo, what the? I still don't understand this. Like, why me?
Yeah,
but yeah.
I think when it comes to, you know, when it comes to you know, people commenting and liking your stuff in particular as well, it's always nice when it's kind of like, you know, your friends or people you know within the community that we've kind of built and stuff. And but I think more or less the majority of the time you do enjoy when it's some stranger who you don't know, who you brighten their day, and you know, they left a nice comment saying, this has really helped me, you know, this has really inspired me. One of the things I wanted to ask you, well, two things I wanted to ask you really. First of all, do you consider yourself to be an inspiration to others? Do you think of yourself day to day as somebody who has helped a lot of people, inspired a lot of people, or does that not really resonate with you? Is it kind of like, you know, in the ether somewhere that it hasn't hit you yet as a creator?
I think it does to an extent, yeah. I don't really think of myself necessarily as an inspiration. I'm not walking around like with a name tag that's like, hello, my name is inspiration. Like, I'm not I don't think of myself like that. But when I, you know, sit and think about it for a little bit, and you like if you bring something like that up, and
Yeah.
like, yeah, I mean, I have had people who have reached out and like, thank you, like, you've inspired me, and or your content lifts me up, and your work, like, just some of your videos make, you know, it hits me in the feels, and it's like I can relate, and I appreciate you doing stuff like that. So like by definition, yeah, I guess I would, but I would never necessarily call myself an inspiration. But yeah, I guess by definition, but you know,
And
I'm not sure how you feel, if you feel a similar way, or not. But
I mean, I know that I've helped people, and I know that I've,
yeah,
you know, inspired people to make their own content, and I've helped them out of particularly bad places at times, and you know, that's a great feeling. But I wouldn't necessarily call myself, you know, like you say, like an inspirational, you know, preacher man or anything like that. You
the
know,
inspirational lesh, yeah.
yeah, I make the content that the way I always talk about it is, you know, and I've talked about this in the previous episode, I'm very method. So everything that goes into my content is real life experiences, it's relatable stuff. You can pretty much tell what's going on in my life based on the content that I'm putting out. So if I suddenly switch up my content, it's like, oh, okay, Lesh is going through this at the moment. Oh, you know, he's going through that, you know, he's feeling a little bit this way now, you know, or he's touching upon this topic because that's what he's currently dealing with. But I'm on a self-love journey at the moment. And that is something that has just become my staple. I mean, it was a staple when I first joined TikTok as well. I felt, you know, I fell into mental health as a starting point. And I've always kind of circled back to it. Like I've always kind of done a U-turn at various points and gone, do you know what? It's time now to go back to the stuff that I was doing when I started, because you come into contact with other creators, and then, you know, you see what they're doing, and you'll start duetting their videos, or you'll take inspiration from them, and you'll be like, oh, this person's doing this kind of content. I haven't thought about trying that, you know. I'd never thought about trying, you know, content regarding comedy or acting or, you know, kind of lip syncing or singing, or, you know, I've done a couple of dance videos, but they're not great. But, you know, it's all been based around what I've seen other people experimenting with. And as we said, this is a social experiment that we're basically on. And I think that the more we experiment with our own content, the more we learn about ourselves. And some of it may flop, you know, and some of it will potentially go viral. And that's the other thing I wanted to ask you as well. Videos in particular. So when you have a video that really takes off, do you find that to be somewhat gratifying? Or do you find it, like some creators that I know, they actually get anxious about it?
A little bit of both. So one of my most recent David ones that I did did pretty well. It's at like 220,000 views, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
And that one I was happy about because that's one of my favorite, like my favorite thing to do is David. Like that's my favorite one to do of them. And I was pretty proud of that particular one. So the fact that it actually hit, like I was like, oh, that's cool. And I pretty much all of the comments were like, oh, this is so good. You're a great David. Like, please do more. And that's a whole other thing because people saying do more when there's literally a button below it says playlist and there's 30 other videos of me doing that. I've done more, but but yeah, like getting those, like that one was gratifying. But then there's other ones that you just I just kind of throw out there and they hit, and I'm like, really, this one? Like I had one that hit, I think 1.5, 1.6 million, and it was literally just like not no effort, but it was very little effort, and it was just like it was actually a wrestling related one. And I'm like, oh, this is gonna be good for like the 16 people who follow me that enjoy pro wrestling. And apparently it pushed me completely to the other side of TikTok where everybody saw it. And it was like 1.6 million. I'm like, really? This is the one? This is the one?
Okay.
All right.
We're going for that one.
But yeah. But yeah, I can totally get the anxious feeling because some of them, because it gets pushed to everybody. And you never know what some, you know, who comes in contact with it, and they just might feel like popping off at the mouth or at the fingertips, I guess I should say. Yeah. I've had I think it's still one of my pinned videos that I don't remember what it was at, but it did pretty well. But there was a lot of people on it like, oh, way to copy so-and-so who did it. I'm like, I literally tagged the dude who did whose audio this is, who did it, like, because I'm such a fan. But like I just felt like I wanted to do it and put my own spin on it. And like people are like, oh, you have can't be original. Blah, blah, blah.
I love when people do this. I love when people say, oh, this isn't your original video, or this isn't the one that always comes up for me is, this isn't even your real voice, this isn't even your sound. It's like, oh, are you new here? Like,
yeah, exactly.
Welcome to TikTok. Like, yeah, this is what we do.
100%, exactly. Like those ones, like they don't piss me off or anything. They make me laugh. But like, yeah, I'm just. But it does get a little anxious because there's like constant notifications, not to you know sound, you know. But it's just once it gets to a certain point where it's like, all right, enough. Like
enough's enough now.
Yeah, because you can't keep up with all the comments. So I'm not going to comment on 600. You know, I can't reply back to 600 comments or whatever. Like after like 100 maybe, and it's like it's kind of
time to leave it alone now.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm sure with the bigger creators it's a lot more annoying with like, especially with people like, oh, you never comment back or blah blah blah. It's like, oh god,
hundreds of comments to respond to. It's like, you know, it would take all day in some cases.
Yeah, it's like I want to have more followers, mostly because it opens up more opportunities.
Sure.
But I don't want to deal with like all that shit. Like I don't even know if it was a real invitation, but like the creator marketplace or whatever.
Yeah.
Like in order to get like gifts on videos, you have to have 100,000 followers. You have to there's like two things that says you have to have 100,000 followers. I'm like, okay, so why are you sending me this? I'm only at 69,000. 69. Why are you sending me this? It's only 69. And yeah, and like you can create like join the creative marketplace or whatever and like get like deals or advertisement stuff. Like that's the only reason why I really want to hit 100,000, because I want to be able to do stuff like that. But I don't want to necessarily be a big creator. I just want to get.
It opens up. I mean, I kind of said when I got to 50, I hit 50 a couple of months ago now, and I said, that's it. I'm happy now. And then I got to 60, and then I said I was going to do merch at 60, and then I cancelled that because it was just I've got too much going on at the moment, and then it's kind of steadied now. I think for me about 66, and I'm happy with that. Like if it doesn't go any further, I'll be happy. Like I don't plan on making money off of the app ever. It's for me, it's a personal growth journey. I'm showcasing my journey through the app. I'm hoping to inspire a few people along the way, or to try and help people, along the way. My career outside of the app is my income. That's what I put my focus on. That's what my heart and soul is on. But I think that there are people out there who obviously, they make a living off it, and then, for them it is, a viable career option, especially when they've got large followings. And it does open doors. It does open a lot of doors for a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, if I could make that like a thing, I would, because
I think
that like the only thing, like the thing I enjoy most these past years has been making content. Like I love making content. And if that could be like a source of income, absolutely, I would 100% do that. And I was honestly in the same boat where it was like, I wanted to have like higher number of followers just because I'm competitive, but but I'm also like at the end of the day, I'm like, I can't control what you can only control what you can control. And I mean, we get caught up in the numbers every now and then with views and and followers or whatever. But literally lately, the only reason why I want to like push to get more is so I can possibly have those opportunities. Like I'm not trying to say give me 1 million followers or whatever, but just enough that I can get some of these opportunities and get me in the door, because why the fuck not? But as far as just for being popular or whatever, I'm like, I don't really care about that as much. It's just I want the bag, bro. I want the bag.
That's it. I want all the options available to me.
Yeah.
So just touching back, circling back just for a minute, because I noticed that there was something I did want to sort of segue into. We were talking about mental health earlier, and I know that one of the things that you're big on is fitness. And I know that there was a video that you did a while ago that really hit home for me, and I can't remember the video exactly, but I think what it was to do with men's mental health, and the idea that men who work out a lot, as a form of dealing with their mental health. Now you're quite big on fitness. You have a very good regime in terms of obviously going to the gym, and you have showcased it. But sorry, I'm just thinking there was a duet that we did a while ago, Jerry Maguire.
Yes, dude, I love that.
Oh my lord, it was incredible. Obviously, I played Jerry, and you played Cuba, and it was you took the shirt off and everything, and it was phenomenal. And yeah, so in terms of fitness, and I know you play basketball as well. Is that a day-to-day routine for you? Is that a way of blowing off steam? Is that as a way of just kind of, do you use that as part of dealing with your own mental health struggles in the past, or how did that come about? Like what inspired you to get into the gym and into sort of fitness and stuff?
It's kind of a combination of a lot of things. Because I've always played basketball, so I've always been like an athlete.
Yeah.
So I would kind of dick around in the gym a little bit here and there. Like I think I started probably like my junior year in high school.
Sure.
Just going a little bit. I didn't really know what the hell. I'll be honest, to this day I still don't really know what the hell I'm doing. I just kind of go and spaz out, and I don't know, no rhyme or reason to some things. But I I would just kind of do a little bit here and there, just because I'm like, oh, I guess this is what we're supposed to do. You know, this is what athletes are supposed to do, right? We're supposed to go to the gym, lift stuff, kind of, I guess. Okay. So for a little while, I was just kind of doing that. And then honestly, a lot of the reasons why I went to the gym for so long was because I was bored. And like if I was bored and at home, I'm like, well, it's probably healthier for me to go like throw some weight around than just watch TV, I guess. So I'll just go do that. And sometimes getting into the mental health, I I definitely have like low self-esteem issues for sure. It's funny, when I was on Jimmy's podcast, he wanted specifically to talk about like how confident I am. And I'm like, that's the power of social media, my friend, because I'm really not that confident of a person. I can look confident for 30 to 60 seconds at a clip, but in real life,
yeah.
In real life, I'm not that.
Yeah. It's and I remember having this conversation actually with somebody recently. So a good friend of mine, Lou, she went through a social media experiment a while ago when she was single, and she decided that she was going to completely stop posting selfies for a couple of months. No photos from her own personal life, no photos of herself or anything. It was all kind of motivational, inspirational stuff that she was posting to her Instagram that was helping her through her journey, because she was struggling at the time, and also helping others. And what she wanted to do, she wanted to self-validating herself more without the need, because she recognized that she was getting an adrenaline rush from the amount of likes she was getting, comments she was getting, etc. And that was having a negative effect on her perception of herself, that she was being reliant on other people telling her that she looked pretty, or this, that, and the other, and what have you. And she told me about this, and I was listening to another podcast with Ed Sheeran, who talked about this very, very same thing. He talked about the veneer of social media, and the idea that you can look at someone's social media and you can get a snapshot picture of their life. But the problem with it is most people will only post the highlight reel.
It's a highlight reel. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Yeah.
There are very few people who will actually take the time to post their struggles, and to post the things that are really, and those who do, hats off to them, because there aren't a lot of people who would want to be seen in that vulnerable state. But there are a lot of people who do it. And the highlight reel, I think, is something that is a problem with modern day society when it comes to social media, be it TikTok, be it Instagram, be it Facebook, or what have you, because we paint this perception of what our life is, and 100%. And it's not realistic. If people saw us day to day, like sitting on a Sunday night, eating Ben and Jerry's ice cream, in bed in our pajamas, watching another episode of like Gilmore Girls or New Girl or whatever it is that's just running,
Golden Girls.
Yeah, and we're just
all the girls.
We just sat there and we're just like, I hate my life today. I'm having it. I hate my life today. Everything around me is fine, but for some reason I just hate my life today. But we're not posting that on social media. We're posting, ourselves at parties and having a great time, and
Yeah. One of my favorite videos that I've done, it was the Justin Bieber Lonely. Like that, I think that was a trend. And the premise of my video was I was doing finishing a dance. I don't know if you ever saw this, but I was finishing a dance where you could see like me filming like in front of a ring light, and I turned it off. And then as soon as I turn it off, it's just like looking around, and like I'm all alone. And it's just like, this is the reality. Like this is what you don't see, is me sitting on the couch laughing at a show, and then looking over and realizing there's no one else there, and like by yourself. When you're going to bed and putting your head on the pillow and realizing it's just me there, like that's the shit that you don't see after we stop recording. Like that's the real life. It's not the highlight reel as you alluded to.
And so I think that's important for people to remember, that we are just like a lot of us, you know, if we live by ourselves or whatever, we're doing this stuff, but then the moment the camera shuts off, that's it. We're back to doing what we do on a day-to-day basis. We're back to our daily grind, our daily struggles, our real life, you know. TikTok is not our real life, you know.
Right.
And
that was one of the reasons why I stopped like going live.
Yeah,
is because it can be exhausting, or it was exhausting for me sometimes, because I had fun while I was doing it, but it's like you have to be on, like, you know what I mean? Whereas just making videos, it's like if you're not feeling it, you're not feeling it, or you can just fucking stop the video, or you can pull yourself together for 30 seconds and like, all right, got it, and now it's back to, oh god. You know, and
very different.
But to your question about the gym, one of the things, so like I was saying, I'm not a very confident person, and I'm very, you know, I feel like I would feel like a loser so many times where I'm just like by myself, you know what I mean? I don't want to, if I'm by myself at home, or if I don't want to go to, like, I'm not gonna go to the movies by myself because I feel like, you know, people will judge me, which I still haven't gone to the movies by myself, but it's like the one place where you can absolutely go by yourself because nobody even sees you. You're in the dark. It's just like, that's but like going out to dinner alone. But like the one place that I felt comfortable being alone is at the gym, because nobody's going to judge you because you're working out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like that was one of the places where, that was one of the reasons where I would go to the gym so much. So I'm like, when I was bored, because I'm like, well, if I go to the gym, no one's gonna be like, oh, this dude's by himself at the gym, what a loser. This guy lifting over in the corner, wow. It's just like everybody's there alone. Well, not everybody, but
yeah.
Although I've noticed at my gym there's a lot of couples, and it's like, you guys make me sick.
That reminds me of another TikTok you did where it was like couples making TikToks together, and there was that sound, I can't remember the sound now, but it was just you crying out and just like, stop it, no.
Oh, yes.
Like, I was like, so just moving back to the real world, coming away from TikTok, just for a minute, because two single guys, you know, having a chat. One of the topics that I know that you wanted to talk a little bit about was this idea of new age and online dating. And I don't know what the situation is stateside. This is something I'm going to be very careful here, because it's something I've noticed, and I don't live in the States, so I can't really, I have to be careful because I may get this wrong. But here in the UK, I find that when it comes to the new age dating scene, especially when it comes to online dating, the hookup culture seems to be less prevalent than it is in the States. I've noticed more of a hookup culture, you know, in the States than I have here in the UK. Now, is that something in your personal experience? Is that something that rings true? Is that one of the problems with these modern day dating apps, do you think? Or
I think it's the fact that I honestly don't think it's as prevalent as people think. Okay. But I think because people have had that, or women have had that perception that's what they just assume is everybody's intention. Because I'll be honest, I've had maybe like one hookup in the decade. I don't know, it's not a decade, but it's been a long time that I've used those apps.
Okay.
So like, it's not like, I've always said, like, I mean, I'm open to it, but that's not what I'm looking for, you know. But they have this thought, I mean, and guys probably have it too with women, or it's like they may have this thought that, specifically Tinder, I mean, that, no offense, Tinder, but I mean, that's been the perception of that app for years. It's like, it's the hookup app. And but I mean, it's the same thing on almost every app. Like, I don't know, do you guys have Hinge over there?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah. I mean, that, I feel like that's maybe like the safest one, but it's still, even that, I'm like, this is a scam.
See, I had this conversation with another guest on episode 1, my friend Lisa, and we talked a little bit about the swipe culture. Now, for me, I stay away from the dating apps. I don't believe it. I like to meet people, you know, sort of. I like to get to know people properly, and my like. This is another reason why I'm glad we're talking about this, because you and me, I think, are very like-minded individuals when it comes to this kind of topic. I'm very much. I don't date a lot. I very rarely date. I'm more focused on the idea. I learned this a long time ago, that if you want to attract people into your life, then you have to be the person that you want to attract. You have to be the vibe. Okay. If you want to attract someone who has the same kind of sense of humor as you, go and work on yourself. You know, go and focus. Put the work into your self-development, into your personal development. Because a lot of the time, I find that if we're attracting, you know, people for like a one-night stand or something like that, you know, then we're doing it because we have that intention. And it's the same kind of thing. We attract what we believe we are, or what we want. And it's one of the reasons I don't date, you know, because I stopped believing in it a long time ago, that you can go out on 2 or 3 dates with someone and know enough about them to say, hey, we're in a relationship now. No, it doesn't. You don't know someone well enough after 2 or 3 dates, you know, to make an informed decision to say, we're going to enter into a serious committed relationship now, and we're going to hope that this doesn't blow up.
Yeah.
You know?
I hope for the best.
Yeah, like in the, I mean, I'm 31 now, and in the years I've dated since, I think I started dating when I was like 16, 17, but first girlfriend like 16. But my first real relationship, what I would call, wasn't until 21. I've only had 3 very serious relationships in my life. Only 3. And that's in...
Same, actually.
Yeah.
Same.
And I'm one of those that's very much, you know, quality over quantity. You know, I don't like to go from relationship to relationship, because I don't think it aids my personal development. You know, when a relationship ever comes to an end, I'm straight into self-preservation mode. Go work on yourself, go level up, go focus on you, because, you know, now it's the time to sort of, you know, reassess, you know, and unpack everything that happened, and now try and figure out who I am again, you know. Because I think if you go from relationship to relationship, you're taking issues maybe that you haven't resolved or stuff like that. And I think part of the problem with the new online dating apps and stuff like that is people are still basing their value off of, you know, and this is another one of the things I hate, when you see guys, especially, you see guys swiping on these apps, and they're not even looking. They're just playing a numbers game. You'll see them. And I've sat with guys in bars, like friends of mine, and they're sat there through Tinder, and they're just swiping yes to everything. And they're not even looking at their screen. They'll be having a conversation with you, and they'll just be swiping. And I'm like, are you even looking? Like, no, I'm just playing the numbers game. And then they'll match with 3 or 4 different girls, and then they'll go and unmatch them. It's like, oh, it's not what I'm looking for. It's like, well, why did you bother?
I know.
You know?
Yeah.
It's almost like it's a form of validation. Oh, I've got 5 matches. That's great. Are you going to go out with any of them? Do any of them qualify for, you know, actually being what you want? Like,
yeah, it becomes a game almost to people. You know, I've caught myself where I'm just like, what? I'm not even paying attention. Like, what am I? Let me get out of this. Like, I've gone through spurts where, like, I'll stay on the app, like I'll stay on it, but I'm not really like, I'm doing like my due diligence of where I'll check it every now and then, and I'll you know, go through and swipe or whatever on some people. But I'm like, am I really looking? Not like swiping like those people, like those guys, but just like, am I really looking? You know, or am I just, you know, just doing it to do it?
You've made no secret about the fact that you've been single for a couple of years now. So what's the Derec Clark criteria for getting a date? If there's any girls listening
now, a pulse. And even that, I mean, that might not even qualify at this point.
Oh dear.
Dude, I don't even know. I mean, you gotta have a sense of humor. That is like number one.
Absolutely.
That is absolutely top. Like with me, because I don't take myself seriously very. So you have to have a sense of humor.
Really, you didn't take
And,
yourself seriously? I hadn't noticed that about you in this podcast.
right, right. Surprise. Yeah, no, I mean that's a big one. I don't know. That's like the whole point. Is like trying. Like I don't really necessarily have like a criteria. It's like that's why I want to get to know you, see if you know. I don't have like a list, you know, where it's like you have to. That's what I think. What people get caught up so many times, so much, where it's like they have this already criteria where it's like even if it's close, like height, like that's a big thing for me. Like I am 6'2", 5'6", and no, so yeah, I'm 5'6", but like a tall 5'6".
A tall 5'6".
Yeah,
5'6" is stilettos, and I've seen you wear stilettos in your TikToks. So
yeah,
you rock them stilettos.
yeah. No, like, but yeah, no, I mean, I'm 5'6", and like that's not very tall, and a women for some reason, at least I can only speak for the American women because I don't. My range doesn't go across the pond that far.
For anybody watching this in the UK, he is single. He's available.
Yeah, if you feel like making the trip.
Yep.
Because I ain't got no money to go across. So, although if you know Venmo me if you feel. Absolutely. But yeah, no. So many women have like a height requirement, and it's like they put. It's just a ridiculous thing. It's like a height is not a personality trait, y'all. Like it is.
It's not.
Like, but it apparently it is. Like that is that's like the thing. Like, well, tell me about him. Well, he's funny. He's tall. I'm like, that's not. What?
Is he loyal? Is he caring? Nobody's tall.
Yeah.
Big hands.
They don't even say he's funny. Right. They're just like, well, he's tall. Like that's like the first thing they go to. He's tall. You know, he's breathing. He hasn't been arrested today that I know of.
I'm a winner here.
Yeah, he's just great. And it's like, what?
What are you bringing home to mama? Like, you know?
Yeah, I'm just like, some of y'all, man. I mean, do you like? I understand the preference. We all have preferences, but I'm like, I'm never gonna be like, so tell me about her. Well, she's skinny. I'm like, that's so rude. Like that's like, could you imagine?
But yeah, if it was the other way, we'd get called all kinds of stuff, you know?
Yeah, and like that's my biggest thing with dating right now, where it's like there's such a double standard where it's like it's seemingly okay to be like, I want a man who's taller than 5. If you're 5'9" or shorter, don't even bother. I'm like, could you imagine if I was just like, if you are 130 pounds or more, kick rocks, toots, like that? What? Like that's wild. Like that's I'm cancel immediately. But you know, if you're 5'9" or shorter, no need to apply. Like you could just say, absolutely. You know, you don't have to throw us under the bus. I mean, we're already there. We're short enough.
There's a big thing on TikTok at the moment. I've started doing relationship content recently, and one of the things that's come up in a lot of videos from a lot of creators that I've started following is there seems to be a trend regarding this good guy mentality in modern day society. Now, do you buy into that? Do nice guys finish last? Do good guys finish last?
I think so. Sometimes, I do believe sometimes that is the case. I think a lot of not all good guys, obviously. Like,
yeah,
I'm not gonna be like one of my friends is like who's married. Like, obviously, like your husband isn't a dickhead, you know. But like a lot of good guys do get often overlooked because of certain things, like because of the list, whatever their list that they might not meet all the qualifications, you know.
Yeah,
that often happens. I do believe that they're not all nice guys finish last necessarily, but this nice guy is is really, pulling up the rear right now. Well, not
not that rare. 69.
Yeah, no, that's that's the problem, is I'm not pulling up the rear, and I am finishing last currently.
Yeah,
But
I mean,
it's a marathon, not a sprint, right? Yeah,
it is. It's a marathon, not a sprint. I think. Look, at the end of the day, this. Again, some people hate the word. This journey that we're on. Trying.
Is that going to be the name of this episode? This journey.
Yeah, Derec Clark,
the journey.
I think that the majority of us, are, like I said, we're in our 20s and we're in our 30s. I was having a conversation the other day with Zeman on one of the episodes, and we were talking about Friends. We were talking about the TV show Friends, and the irony now that Friends is still running as as much as it is, and yet we are, as the majority of us 90s kids, late 80s, 90s kids, who grew up watching that show, when we were like maybe 13, 14, 15, whatever, teenage years, we are now at the age where we're living the episodes. We are now at the age those characters were. And so when I watch those episodes back now, I'm like, oh my Lord, I'm such a Ross. Like, I'm such a Chandler. Or I'm such a and again, you have these moments where you resonate with these characters, and you're just like, just pass me the ice cream. I'm like, today I'm having a Joey moment, and
yeah, it's funny you say that, because so I said earlier that Ross is my favorite character to do videos of, but my favorite character is Chandler, because I'm most like him, very sarcastic,
witty, all that kind
of. But recently I've realized I'm most like Joey's character, not the acting part, but if you look at the progression, where it's like, you look at the end of the series, Ross and Rachel end up together, right? Monica and Chandler end up together. Phoebe ends up with Mike. And Joey's left alone. And that's how my life has been, where all my friends are married. They're all they're married, or or have kids, and I'm like, I'm the only one left. I'm like, I'm Joey. It's so weird. I never even thought of that.
Do you know the worst part? Did you ever watch How I Met Your Mother?
I never watched it, but I mean, I've seen stuff here.
There's a particular episode where Ted, the main character, he's talking about how he goes to weddings and stuff, and this happens to me every single time somebody gets married. Every time I know somebody that's getting married, I've just come out of a relationship. I get an invite to the wedding, and then I go to the wedding, and they're like, "Oh, how's so and so?" No. No. And it's literally just as a relationship has ended. It's the worst timing for me. I'm like, can we just stay together for another month so I can take you to this wedding and then wake up, because it's the most awkward thing, because you get the +1 and stuff. I'm going to a wedding next month. I haven't actually been given a +1, but I actually think that the reason I haven't been given the +1 is because this friend of mine has actually recognized the pattern, and he's gone, do you know what? He doesn't need a +1. He's going to turn up single anyway. I'm like, great. But
I still want the +1. I want the option.
I want the option, But
it's like when being an introvert, it's like, I don't want to go. There's no part of me that wants to go to the party, but I want to be invited. Show me that you care. I don't want to go. I don't want to go, but just
at least
do the due diligence.
Some faith in me. Show me that you have some faith at least.
Exactly. There's a 1% chance I might say yes. I might show up. Just humor me, please. Give me that +1.
And if I turn up with a blow-up doll, I turn up with a blow-up doll. It is what it is at that point. By the way, for those listening, I do not own a blow-up doll. I'm just going to clarify that point now.
Send that Amazon wish list, though.
I need to take that one off. I really should take that off before some of my followers buy that. Listen, Derek, this has been a fantastic episode. I think that's a great way, talking about blow-up dolls, I think it's a great way to end the episode, ironically.
How else would you rather end it?
How else would we? Oh, I know how we end it. 69,000 followers. There we are.
Speaking of blow-up dolls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, for those, like I said, for those who have watched this episode and listened, if you're not following Derek on TikTok, you really should do yourself a favor and go check out his content. He's absolutely fantastic. He's also on Instagram and he posts a lot of really good content on there as well. So please go check him out, Mr. Clarkfella. Derek, thank you very much for joining me, and it's been an absolute pleasure chatting to you and sharing this space and having such a great laugh with you. And ironically enough, this is actually the first face-to-face conversation we've had. So
I think it is, yeah.
It is a great pleasure to actually talk to you, you know, not just over text.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Thank you for agreeing to this.
Yeah, man. No, thank you so much for having me. I had a great time. I'm honored. I'm honored to be a part of this journey with you.
This journey, I love it. Until next time, guys, this has been another episode of Inspire You. Thank you very much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. All right, thanks. Bye-bye.